for King and Country and the Newsboys. Thank you very much.
Where's it coming from? Questions? Yes, sir. First of all, on stage?
Huh?
How about that?
He's got too many to count.
Let's see. Oh, one time, Jody started a song in a different key, and I sang this song for about a verse and a half in that different key. Knowing that it was wrong, but the song already started, so the train was moving, I had to hop on it.
Yeah. Actually, what happened was we were playing a festival in California. We got in at the last minute, and I had a song where my one guitar was supposed to be tuning down a half step, but we were rushing in and we were tuning everything up, because when you fly with guitars, you have to detune all the strings loose. And so I just tuned it up to standard. We took off in the song, and Jeff was playing, and I was playing, and we're looking, trying to figure out who's doing something wrong, and Tate starts singing, and it was a train wreck. It was a total train wreck. Then I realized.
That's fine. Thanks for asking, kid.
Yes, I did.
Why did you start making music? Like, when did God, tell you to just come and do Christian music?
I think it's probably different for every one of us, but I know from a very, very early age, I knew that I wanted to do this. And it wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't that I had any great mission in mind. I just want to play drums to meet girls. I mean, I got to be truthful and honest. I mean, that was it. But I think as I grew up in a Christian home. Now I wasn't very aware of my faith, but as I changed and matured and grew in my faith, it was just a very natural extension to sing about my faith and to play about my faith.
Yes, sir.
What was your inspiration for this newest album? I mean, for me, I'm new to your band, relatively new, and it's really touched my life. I mean, three of the songs, literally brought me to tears.
Which ones?
Restart, Disaster, and Abandoned, Live in Abandoned. Disaster to me is me to 11.
Yeah.
That was the one that really hit me the hardest.
That's me too. That was one of the last songs we wrote for the record. And but the inspiration for any record, ultimately, at the end of the day, for us it's our communication. It's the way we get to share God with the world. And I often say sometimes when we to a kid's heart or to a parent's heart, it's through the headphones. We all have headphones on the other day somewhere or on airplanes, and the music speaks loud. God moves to it, especially if he gets the name Jesus in the song. It penetrates the heart. But every time we put pen to paper, we ask God to walk through the room, breathe in our ear, inspiration, creations that will touch the masses. Those songs, they're real life songs. But we don't want to be so preachy as we want to be practical too, because who are we to say, hey, get it together? We're all, but for the grace of God, so go we.
That's right.
So we're all in the same boat, my brother.
Thank you.
You bet. Yes, ma'am, darling.
How did we get together? What a sweet girl. What's your name, baby? Shauna. And how old are you, 6 or 7? You're 7, okay.
So you work at a carnival or something?
Very sweet. You're not tall enough to ask that question, so I'm sorry, but you can't write this right. What was your question?
How did we get together?
How did we get together? Well, actually, that's a great story to that. Way back, way before you were born, we started in Australia in a garage, just like anybody else. And at the time, it was kind of mid to late 80s, and we'd come up on stage, and there was another band at the time. The band was actually called The News, before Newsboys. And there was another band at the time, a way more famous band than us at the time, called Huey Lewis and the News. So of course, every time we get up on stage, obviously being the hecklers that they are, where's Huey Lewis? So the guys, we've got to change their name. So we changed their name from The News to Newsboys. Plus it was easy to spell.
Too much time on the road.
So you talk, what a great name.
Sounds like a cab company, exactly. Well, comics good. We got King and Country courses. 4 King and Country. These fine gentlemen up here that are killing it out here on tour.
Yes.
And they are the new Artist of the Year. Double award Artist of the Year. A little jealous of that. Never won that award.
I don't think we can
I
fit in
have a
that
question for
category.
both of you. What did you guys think of Lifeline?
Lifeline.
I think that's Joel.
It was actually really interesting because it was like a pretty close picture in some ways of what you're going to see tonight. Because it was Rapture Rockers, it was us, and it was the Newsboys, and so it was sort of a preemptive strike at the tour. You know, the only thing we're missing is my lovely wife Mariah Peters, who will be here this evening. So yeah, that's exciting. It was. I tell you what, for you guys, I think the sun had already set when you started playing, but there was a real defining moment for us about 3 songs in where, you know, you've got, how many folks were there? I mean, just thousands and thousands of folks. And the sun is just on the crest of the horizon, and you're singing these songs, and it's like, the weather was perfect, and it was just stunning. So, and I think, is the picture that you guys have in the back of the booklet, is that from Lifeline? Or no? The booklet that they all have.
I think it's from Creation.
Oh, is it Creation? For whatever reason, I always thought it looked...
Yeah, that's Creation.
Yes, creation.
Yeah. Okay, sorry that.
The other Lifeline.
That's right.
But Joel's right, those moments can be super angelic, and it's like God's coming on to earth during your show, so to speak, you know, because it's magical, for sure. Yes, ma'am.
So how did you two get together?
Well, we're brothers, so I didn't have a choice.
God sort of showed this whole thing.
I'm just kidding. No,
Like, how did you decide to sing then?
yeah, well, our older sister is an artist as well, and so we kind of grew up on the road and did touring, and Joel was a stage manager, and I did lighting, and we would also do background vocals. And I actually wanted to pursue sports, and in high school I actually tore my ACL my junior year, and I was kind of like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do now, because I'm certainly not going to be playing any more sports. And Joel came to me just after that and was like, hey, what do you think about, you know, writing some songs and doing some demos together and just seeing where that goes? And I guess I've been doing it for 8 years since, which seems like a long time because we only really started as for King Country about 2 years ago. So, but yeah, that's kind of how we got going.
By the way, it's a great name. King Country right there.
Thank you, Tim.
Much better than
very
DC Tour.
very prone to mispronunciations.
Yeah.
We've gotten, a few weeks ago, we got King and Company. Yeah, what did we get the other night?
I don't know, most of the time I just hear, King Country? King Country here? King Country?
Someone showed me, they were searching Instagram today, and they showed me, like, hey, is this your band name? It was Kings and Country. It's like, oh, well, I just added
4 is very important.
4 is very important.
4 King.
And then the best one is just Queen and County. Really spot on.
At that time, I questioned their education.
We actually just got married on Friday, so I was
Congratulations.
didn't have any marriage advice.
I got plenty for you, honey. I'm kidding. It was Dr. Ruth.
Guys, I got married a little over 3 months ago, 105 days ago, I think it is, to be precise.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a good thing, isn't it? So are you back for your honeymoon? You about to go on your honeymoon? Is this your honeymoon?
This is it.
Awesome. Right here, guys. Come on.
Do it right, man. Do it right. Don't mess up Frankenstein.
I think, I don't know, I've been married for about 15. I know Jody's been married for a while, and Jeff also. You know, you just got to compromise, you know. Most times she's right, unfortunately. That's how it is. She is. And I think once you get to that point of realizing that, you'll be a lot happier, and so will she.
My dad used to tell this story in church years ago when he was a preacher. He was in heaven now. He used to say, back in the day, the old black church service in the inner city of D.C., old lady stood up and said, where would you men be without us women? The old man stood up back in the church in the corner and said, back in the Garden of Eden. Funny every time.
That's great marital advice for you, right?
There you go. That's my 2 minutes. No rings on my finger.
I wonder why.
There's always hope for the tater. Yes.
Newsboys, we saw you guys at the story last.
Yeah.
That was amazing, and I just want to know how you were able to participate in that, or how you were asked, how that came about.
Being in the story tour.
Right?
We love that tour, yeah.
It was amazing.
I
I think they just wanted Michael's vocals, and so they drug us, the rest of us, along with it. Yeah. But no, actually we got invited to do it, and it was the very first time they had tried something new, and it's got a lot bigger since we left the tour, unfortunately.
Jeremy can't pick my spot.
Yeah, but it was different for us. We had never really done a Christmas show or a tour or anything like that, but hopefully we'll do it again.
I mean, if you just see For King and Country and Newsboys on a Christmas tour,
Oh, totally.
that'd be killer.
Oh, yeah.
That's my goal.
With a full orchestra.
Actually, we just did a Christmas song together, didn't we?
We did?
It'll be out on TV, right?
It's on TV.
On,
It's
5 times in the month of December.
December 2nd on Up TV, which used to be the old gospel music channel. I don't know if you guys get it, I'm sure you do. But starting on December 2nd, there's it was a wild project. But now it's
Toby Max on it. Toby Max.
Caleb Webb.
Caleb Christmas special.
Yeah,
So
North.
December 2nd, look out for it.
And we're doing a very spiritual song called Jingle Bell Rock.
Which I had never sung in my life before they asked me to
I'll
sing
tell you
it.
what, I was shaking in my boots that night because I could not figure out those lyrics. And they're peculiar lyrics.
Anytime you rhyme that many times,
Anytime you got prancing in a song, it's kind of like...
and you're rhyming it with dancing.
Any rate, we digress.
Yes.
I just wondered from the start of Newsboys until now with the new members coming and going, how do you stay true to the Newsboys as a thing?
Oh, that's a great question. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to step on you, mate. This band here, right here, myself, Jody, and Jeff, have been the same core band for, I've got to say, 20 years now. So we may not be there day one, but we've definitely been the longest standing members in the band. So that's why the music from Not Ashamed On has remained, still the core of the band has remained the same. So that's what keeps that kind of, that flavour of Newsboys going. Michael, I'll hand over to you.
No, I was just saying, you guys are the original members up to that part. Because the original guys were there for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, the original
So
guys.
we weren't original at all.
Yeah, so we've been 20 plus years now. Michael's been with us nearly 800 shows in.
And literally got rid of the bald guy, and I jumped in.
The funny thing is,
Loves accent, yeah. You got a black guy with hair.
it seems like a lot of member changes, but actually guys left and we just never replaced them.
Yeah, we used to have 6 in the band back in the day, and now the guys kept on leaving, and now we don't even have a bass player now. Except Jeff, of course. Jeff takes over the...
It is pretty classic though when you think about, you've got Peter Furler, who is an Australian white bald guy,
Easy, buddy.
to the American black guy with lots of hair.
Could you be any more different, right?
I know.
And it works.
We didn't really want to do Newsboys karaoke, so we had to go a complete opposite direction.
God works in mischievous ways.
Okay, for King Country, what's your favorite thing to do when you go to go back to Australia?
After you.
Well, considering that we live in Nashville where there's absolutely no water around, we love to go to the beach because I think it's 90% of the population in Australia actually lives on the coast. So you're always used to, in Australia, going to the beach all the time. And then also, we used to have Christmas on the beach. And so, you had a lot of these sentimental kind of memories all around water and spending time kind of with family and things on the beach. So probably definitely the beach, and then all of our extended family is for the most part back there. So our grandmother's back there and pretty much all of our cousins. And so when we go back, we try to spend as much time as we can with family. But I unfortunately haven't been, I think it's going to be 4 years since the last time I was there. My wife hasn't even been back there yet, and so I've got to change that.
Ever since we started working on For King Country, we haven't quite been back. I will say this though, regarding Christmas on the beach, it always was peculiar to us growing up because, we're in the southern hemisphere, so Christmas falls in the dead center of summer as opposed to winter. And so all of these songs that you guys would sing, Frosty the Snowman, this doesn't make any sense to us. Finally, when we got over here, we're like, okay.
The first time that we saw snow, we were like, oh, now we know what you guys are all talking about,
I'm still familiar with snow, that's for sure.
Sorry, you was thinking about starting a band, like this starting as just for a youth band, but then maybe becoming something more. Do you have any advice for us?
Don't do it. Jody, what's your advice?
Well, I always say basically, for one thing, if you don't burn to do it, then
you know, you're just up for disappointment because you just gotta love doing it, for one thing. And then never despise where you're at, because, you know, God uses musicians at all different levels. We don't feel like that we're any more important than somebody who's, you know, singing for a youth group band or something, you know, like that, because God uses those people in that spot. And so, you know, just do it because you love it, and play anytime you can, anywhere you can, and, you know, if it goes somewhere and bigger and better things, well, you know, it's kind of incidental. You just do what you feel like God is leading you to do.
Yeah, learn where you're planning.
Joel swam, but it took him a lot longer. I'm just kidding.
Duncan drove, actually.
What'd you say?
Duncan drove.
Duncan drove.
We have gotten asked. We digress. I'll save it for another time. Well, they're trying very different ways. I mean, Duncan and the Newsboys, naturally, Australia is about the same size as America, but whereas America has, what, 310 million, Australia has about 22 million.
Wow.
And so, as far as music is concerned, you can really make a real good go of it here if you have any level of success. But in Australia, kind of the first thing that everyone does is try and get to America to have success. So, the Newsboys have been offered a record deal, actually that my dad was part of setting up, which was kind of cool, the very first record deal in Australia. And then for us, speaking of my father, he was a concert promoter primarily in Australia, and so he would bring over a lot of artists, and ultimately lost about $250,000 on a tour that went bad as a promoter. And so with Luke, we'll talk about this a bit more later, but with 6 kids and a pregnant wife and 16 suitcases, he packed up and moved from Brisbane, Australia to Nashville, Tennessee. About a month after we got here, lost his job, and we were stuck. We raked leaves, mowed lawns. Mum and Rebecca, our older sister, cleaned houses, and that was actually kind of how Rebecca, our older sister, started doing music, and we started traveling with her, sort of the Australian version of the Von Trapp family. And yeah, as Luke said, we just kind of haven't stopped since. We just kept going.
And now they're loaded.
Yeah, right. Trust me.
Hey, Michael, let's do the last 2 pressing questions.
You bet.
And you better start photos.
Right? Two last questions and we'll do photos. Happy photos. Happy Minnesotans.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you get nervous before you go on stage?
Do we get nervous before we go on stage, Michael T?
Well, I don't know the songs. Sometimes I get nervous.
Were you nervous at the Kayla filming, Christmas filming?
I was a bit. Yeah.
I was too.
Yeah, because the verses can get mixed up. It's jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock, jingle bells, swing
And jingle bells, which you sung backwards, by the way.
I know, I did. I did. Of course, Joel will correct me.
I had a few moments as well. I think the only time is when you're unprepared. If you're unprepared.
Sometimes
If you're not quite sure, if you're beginning of a tour and it's a new set and you've edited songs down, I mean, it all comes nervous. You just,
Ain't you a little sick sometimes? I'm not all the way there, like physically. You think, man, I want to give people my best. Because we don't do AAA shows every night. We want to give the best to you guys. Because we do like doing this. We burn to do this. It's our calling. So we do. But we can't do it. I'm like, man, snaggle, fraggle, snaggle. You know? What do you do? Yes, sir. Back in the back, you had a question? No, you didn't. Who had a question over here? One last one. What would you next, man? Well, you'd be the last one, okay, because you're so cute.
we had a guy back here too. Super quick.
Let's do the trio.
Okay, so quick.
All I was going to ask my little girl, one was running around with blue, and she wanted to know if you guys could sing Kissy Business Spider.
That you know. This is a gentleman up here. Do you have a question? Yeah.
Success brought you closer to God.
Has success brought us closer to God? I think we are closer to God. I don't think success has anything to do with it. Just like, you know, we're around. I think the band probably has, simply because we're around. I'm around these guys more times. I am around, you know, my wife a lot of times. And the great thing about being in a band, we have full accountability with each other. And not just within the band, within our extended family. Our Steve Campbell, our production manager, road manager up here, has been with us forever. Our manager, Wes Campbell, in town. We have this built-in kind of network of guys, and I think we actually have the better deal because I've got my brother's got my back, I've got their back 24/7.
In a roundabout way, it can, because all the trappings and the adulation constantly can either drive you further from God or make you realize, man, I need God every minute because how many times can I be told, we love your shoes, or we love, your voice, or how you look, but it's like, yeah, it can get a little freaky sometimes. Yes, Tom, you're the last one.
Why are you guys so handsome?
You are a shop. Flattery gets you everywhere, and it gets you all Newsboys product and cocaine. Bring t-shirts now, you baby. What's up, Steve?